It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Wednesday, the 10th of September. I'm Michael Groff. Mainly dry conditions, temperatures above average, and breezy to windy conditions across the state today as a trough of low pressure begins to move into the region. As a result, we'll start to see some moisture beginning to shift back to the north across the eastern part of the state for a few showers and storms this afternoon and tonight. A slightly better chance of storms over the eastern third of the state tomorrow night, and perhaps into early Friday. The question is, will we see any storms here in the valley? Now, with that trough passing on by, temperatures will head down several degrees. How low will they go? We'll talk about that. And of course, there's lots of forecast uncertainty as we go into next week. So does that mean some rain chances for us? Once again, we'll talk about all of that and everything else in just a moment. Hey everyone, it's Michael Groff here to talk to you about your roof. With all the extreme weather we have in Arizona, you need a name you can trust, and that's why you should call Blackstone Roofing Group for all of your roofing needs. Call for your free inspection today. Big or small, they do it all. Tile, shingle, or flat roofing, they can help. Offering free inspections and more. Roofing made easy. Call 602-536-9363 or visit blackstoneroufinggroup.com to schedule your free inspection today. And if you tell them Michael Groff sent you, they'll take $500 off the price of your roof replacement. Again, that's 602-536-9363 or blackstoneroufinggroup.com. All right, let's get into it here. The almanac from yesterday, 103 degrees the afternoon high, 86 was the morning low, 103 and 81 are the averages for this time of year. There's that record high of 114 degrees set in 2023. As we take a look outside right now, just after 12 noon, we've got sunny sky out there, and yeah, it's hot, 104 degrees at Sky Harbor. Dew point's still hanging in there at 56, relative humidity 19%. And yeah, it's breezy with a wind out of the south at 14, gusts to 21 miles per hour, the barometer 29.80 inches and falling. Satellite picture out here across the west shows that trough, that area of low pressure moving into northern California. It is very, very slowly beginning to shift our way. And with that system approaching us, the pressure gradient is tightening, and that's why we're seeing those breezy to windy conditions over the area. For the most part, it's dry right now, but with the approach of that system, the flow aloft will start to turn more southerly, particularly over the eastern part of the state. And we will see some moisture beginning to move northward into the region overnight tonight, especially by tomorrow. The watch warning map across much of the nation is still fairly quiet. A couple of air quality alerts scattered about. Out here in the west, we've got the red flag warnings over parts of Utah and some of the adjacent areas. A flash flood watch has been posted for eastern Oregon. With the approach of that trough, we are seeing showers and thunderstorms on the increase near the center of that area of low pressure. And so we could see even a few strong storms out there, which we'll talk about in just a moment. In northern Arizona, we've got a wind advisory posted. And that's in effect for places like Kingman, the Grand Canyon, Flagstaff, Williams, down toward Prescott. And the possibility of some wind gusts in excess of 40 miles per hour exists there. So be aware of that. As for those strong storms, the convective outlook for today, yes, we've got that low end marginal risk of severe storms, level 1 out of 5 for places like Elko, Nevada, up toward Jackpot, and approaching the Treasure Valley of Idaho near Boise. And again, storms there could produce some brief, strong gusty winds to 58 miles per hour or greater. Eastern half of Arizona in the green. I don't think we're going to see any thunderstorm activity here in Phoenix, despite the fact that we're right on the edge of that green zone there. At least not today or tonight. But sometime later tomorrow afternoon or tomorrow evening, there's a very, very small chance that a stray storm might try to get into the valley, which again we'll outline in modeling here in just a moment. The tropics and the Atlantic Basin, today is the 10th of September. This is the climatological peak of hurricane season. And despite that, it is absolutely dead quiet in the Atlantic, the Caribbean, and the Gulf. And no sign that it's going to pick up, at least not in the next few days. Now, maybe out toward later this month, there have been some indications that the tropics will wake up, and I'm sure at some point they will. It is almost unheard of to even think of the idea of going the rest of the hurricane season, which runs through November 30th, without any more tropical action out here. So, obviously, we do look for things to pick up a little bit later on. But right now, very quiet. In the Pacific, well, Kiko is off the board. It's just remnant low now. But we do have this tropical wave that's sitting off the Mexican coast, and where that goes will be fairly interesting. That should parallel the coast and stay south of the Baja. Now, obviously, when any system develops out here in the eastern Pacific, we always keep an eye on it because, naturally, there could be some implications on our weather. Right now, we don't necessarily anticipate that with this system, but obviously, there's a few of our models that seem to think that that will play a role in our weather at some point. We'll talk about that again in a moment. Precipitation outlook valid through Wednesday morning of next week. Rain amounts in Phoenix, probably nothing, but maybe we could see a trace or a couple hundredths of an inch. More likely totals will be found across east central and southeast Arizona, where rain amounts could be anywhere from 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch. Of course, whenever we show you this graphic, your amount will vary. This just represents an average of what you'll see across the region. So, all of that having been said, what's going on with this weather pattern? To figure it out in more detail, let's get into the models right now, see what the future may hold. Here we go. This is the GFS. It's the 12Z run. This is valid at 5 o'clock this afternoon. This is the upper look at 500 millibars, about 18,000 feet off the ground. There's our rather impressive upper low across northern California. System is approaching us. The flow aloft, which has been westerly, is gradually going to start to shift more southerly, especially over the eastern part of the state tonight and tomorrow. So what it means down at the surface for the rest of the day today, sunny sky here in the valley, and yeah, it's going to be toasty. High temperatures about 103 to 107, and that's several degrees above average. The average high in Phoenix for today, 102 degrees. So we've already surpassed that. A few showers and storms will be possible over east central and southeast Arizona. Otherwise, conditions will be fairly dry. For tonight, clear sky, overnight lows mainly in the 70s to mid 80s. And then tomorrow, that trough continues to approach, and with the southerly flow, as mentioned, over eastern Arizona, widely scattered showers and thunderstorms will be possible. Now, by late tomorrow night, a few of those storms have been shown to try and drift more toward the northwest, toward the south central deserts. I doubt they're going to make it in here. The air is pretty dry and fairly stable in the south central part of the state. But we can't completely rule it out, and so as a result, late tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, we have put a 10% chance of storms, and I would say that it's mainly for the East Valley, northwest Pinal County, eastern Maricopa, kind of nudging into the East Valley, but we'll keep an eye on that and let you know how it plays out tomorrow on tomorrow's video as well, because that could be somewhat interesting there. Otherwise, though, we are dry. High temperatures tomorrow will be down several degrees, upper 90s to about 102. Friday, high temperatures anywhere from about 95 to 100 here in the lower deserts. Good chance, though, that we stay in the 90s on Saturday. The sky is mostly sunny. The air is dry. Still a few showers and storms in far southeast Arizona and over New Mexico. Sunday, we're dry. High temperatures, upper 90s to about 101. We might bump temps up a little bit on Monday. Now, Monday is a little bit more interesting because we have another wave that's coming into the Great Basin and drawing some moisture northward, and some fairly substantial moisture at that, potentially for some heavy showers and storms, perhaps over New Mexico, and a few storms over the eastern part of the state. And at one point, we were looking at painting in a few showers and storms, the low-end rain chances here in the south central deserts. At this point, we're going to keep the forecast dry. We'll keep an eye on how this evolves, because it sure looks like the majority of the moisture will be over the eastern part of Arizona and mostly over New Mexico and maybe into West Texas. Either way, high temperatures again, upper 90s to about 102. This is Tuesday. It's the same story. Here's a week from today. This is Wednesday, the 17th. And at this point, conditions are looking relatively dry. We have a weak little wave that's coming on by. That's not going to amount to a whole lot. The upper heights are pretty close to seasonal averages, around 585 to 588 decameters. And if that's right, temperatures are not overly bad here for this time of year. We'd see highs maybe a couple of degrees either side of 100. Now, going out further next week, again, model splits really start to grow here. Some show a tropical system coming up the west coast of Mexico and either completely phasing out, some of that getting absorbed in another trough that develops off the west coast, and some moisture coming into Arizona. Others, like the GFS, keep us fairly dry, with maybe a little bit of moisture advection at some point late next week. And at this point, that's the direction we're going to keep the forecast, is on the drier side, with high temperatures staying close to seasonal averages, maybe a degree or two warmer than average, with highs generally in the upper 90s to about 102 degrees. Same story out 10 days. This is Friday the 19th. And again, if that's right, we are looking fairly dry here. But again, models are starting to split drastically out here further. And to illustrate that point, let's take a look at the rainfall for Phoenix out through the 24th of the month off the GFS ensemble. You can see there's a couple of models here that show nothing. There's others that are over 2 inches of rain. The ensemble means about a half an inch. A little under a half an inch for the European ensemble. You've got 51 members here. And again, there's big split. You've got quite a few members that show nothing. You got others that are anywhere from a third to 2/3, even 1 inch, even more than that for a couple of members. And then, of course, the European AI model. And this is where the biggest model spread exists. And again, there's some that show very, very little rain. And then there's others that are up toward 5 inches of rain. And the ensemble mean is, again, it's getting up toward an inch. So obviously, we'll keep an eye out there. There is a trend in our ensemble guidance to show more moisture coming in here toward the end of next week. And in accordance to that, we'll check out the CPC outlook in just a second. First, let's take a look at temperatures off the national blend of models. Now, the trend is down, and we'll probably have a day or two where we may not make it to 100 degrees here, Friday, Saturday, or if we do, just barely. And that's a couple of degrees shy of average. Other than that, though, temps pretty much in line with what we would typically see here in mid-September. And keeping in mind the average high temperature in Phoenix finally dips below 100 degrees on the 20th. So that doesn't mean that magically 100-degree days end there, but that's the average high temperature curve. As we all know, 100-degree temperatures can occur well into October. All right, looking at the Climate Prediction Center outlook, this is the 8 to 14-day period, September the 17th through the 23rd. If this works out, temperatures around here are skewed toward slightly above average. It gets me all choked up just thinking about it. And then looking at precipitation, again, skewed toward above average across much of the southwestern United States, indicating that the CPC guys, they believe that we'll start to see an intrusion of moisture. And again, this is not necessarily monsoonal moisture. This is being driven by either some type of trough, a mid-latitude cyclone drawing tropical moisture northward, or an entire tropical system up the west coast of Mexico in here, but not necessarily a return of a monsoonal pattern, as we're really becoming more dominated by the westerlies now. And when we start to see that here in mid-September, it usually means the monsoon season has ended. That's it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video back here tomorrow morning. And if you enjoy these videos, be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell, leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. If you really enjoy what we do here, click that thanks icon below the video, support the channel that way, or via PayPal. groffshow@gmail.com is that PayPal address. It's groffshow@gmail.com for PayPal. Of course, our Venmo is also linked up down below. The executive producer of the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion, yeah, I've put the banner up there for you. It is my OAO, the sweetest of all time, the Asian sensation and proprietor of sweetchildaz.com.org and the Facebook page of the same name, Sweet Child Arizona, talking about my Michelle. Check her out. Blogs, videos, everything Michelle related, Adriana related, Kylie related. Yes, all linked up down in the description below. So check it all out. Our streaming station available 24/7, 365. It's called KMGX. Listen to that. It's all linked up below. And want you to check out Dan over at the Courtroom Files YouTube channel, The Courtroom Files on YouTube, or courtroomfiles.com for all of your Courtroom Files merch. Dan, a personal friend and a friend of the channel. It's kind of a double whammy there. And so we want you to support Dan in all of his endeavors, please. And thank you. I do have the manners. All right. Thank you guys so much, seriously, for all of your continued support. It's amazing. It is so greatly appreciated. You guys are all superstars. You are legends. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for all that you do. Please, though, I want you to be safe, stay cool, stay hydrated out there, and have yourselves a delightful rest of your Wednesday. It is Wednesday, right? Yes.